Today's episode title, 5 Common Myths About Quitting Alcohol and Why They're Holding You Back. And it's such a great topic. There's a lot of myths out there. And gosh, there's many more than just 5, but I thought these are 5 that are very relevant. So we're going to dive into those today. And we're going to talk about the myths surrounding quitting. And if you've ever thought about quitting or maybe even just cutting back, you want to take a break 30, 60, 90 days, or you want to completely quit like I did almost 12 years ago. And I'm not looking back and I don't ever plan to at that. But you've probably heard or believed a few things. And you've maybe even heard of some of these that have holding you back. Maybe you've even thought about these yourself. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? It's difficult. It's confusing. And so today, I want to break down these 5 most common myths about quitting alcohol and explain, number 1, why they're not necessarily true, and more importantly, why they might be keeping you stuck and how to get out of that feeling of being stuck. So myth number 1, this is probably the biggest one. Top 5, top 3, no doubts why it's number 1, but that you have to hit rock bottom first. You have to hit rock bottom. I gotta lose everything in order to quit. I'm all or nothing. And I am all or nothing type of guy, so I can definitely understand this one. But this is probably one of the most normal and pervasive myths when it comes to quitting alcohol. Many people believe that in order to quit, they literally have to lose it all. They got to hit a rock bottom. We've heard that so many times. Oh, they need to hit rock bottom, or, oh, hey, what was your rock bottom? My rock bottom was this. And I'm not hating or, smack talking people hitting a rock bottom, of course, either. I hit a rock bottom. So it's a huge part of many people's story. But what I'm saying is it doesn't have to be everybody's story. It doesn't have to be your story. You can still quit and you can still or take a break or whatever without having to hit this, rock bottom of, losing a job, a relationship, your marriage falling apart. Your health is deteriorating and terrible, and it's just getting worse. You don't have to hit all those things. And like I said, yes, it's true that there's a lot of people who've hit a rock bottom and have had to hit a rock bottom before they came to the realization that alcohol creates adversity, it's not serving them well, and they need to make some changes in their life. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And it's a hard thing to do the older we get, though. And we become so conditioned in our routines and what we do, and using alcohol as a tool to relax, or a tool for stress, or a tool to escape, or it's how we socialize in a social setting. We need a little bit of the booze, man, to loosen us up a little bit. I remember, going to different weddings or functions, or let's just use a wedding, for example. I mean, I couldn't imagine back in the day before I quit, like going to a wedding and being sober. Like how in the heck would I do that? That's impossible. No way. And if I did, it'd be miserable. And so I understand that feeling when we're so stuck, in that. But I want to say, like, you don't have to lose everything before making the decision to stop. And, we see that a lot, but the people who lose everything, right? But you don't have to wait until your life's falling apart. You can make a positive change now is what I'm getting at. And today's the day. Maybe that's you today. You're listening right now. You know what? I'm over this. I'm done. Well, give yourself, a couple days. Let's just start with today. Let's say today or tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow I'm done. I'm going to stop. I'm not going to drink all day, or I'm not going to drink for, 10 days or 30 days or whatever. You can set those goals. You don't have to lose everything and be at your worst to take a break or to quit. People quit drinking at all stages of their lives also. So some people figure it out at 20. They're like, man, I want to stop. I figured it out about 22 or 32 that I wanted to quit. I knew a few years before that, just for the record too. Like I had the feeling I was over this. I wanted to stop, but I didn't know how. And I kept going on. I didn't have support. I didn't talk to anybody about it. I just kind of ignored it and buried it down and kept drinking about it. But by the time I hit 32, 33, right around there, it was just, I couldn't help it anymore. I couldn't stop it anymore. And it was getting habitually worse over the time. So out of desperation and just a want and a need and a pure, I think I was just pure desperation at that point where I knew God had something so much bigger for my life. I was real close to hitting a rock bottom. I was there. And so I did hit a rock bottom in some cases. Not as bad as other people maybe, but everyone's got their own story, right? And I was tired. I was tired of living in that same cycle and saying I was going to stop and then drinking again and being hungover. And I was out of shape. I was skinny fat, had no ambition. It was not a fun time of my life. I was trying to figure it out. And man, so if that's you and you're thinking about, and maybe it doesn't mean that you have to be that low either. Maybe you're just at a point and you're like, man, I want to see what I would be like at 100% on point, not a little bit hungover or feeling sluggish or, having these thoughts in my head. Like, I want to see what that is, so I'm going to quit for 30 days and see what that's like. Man, do it. Today's the day. You don't have to hit a rock bottom to take a break. So if you're thinking about that, that dramatic moment, it doesn't have to come. The moment is now. You have the power to choose that better path right now. All right, myth number two. Myth number two, quitting alcohol means you can never have fun again. I can't have fun? What? What do you mean? Yes, that's a huge one. Man, is that big. I can remember thinking how am I going to go to a A's game? How am I going to go to a Raiders game? How am I going to go to a birthday party? How am I going to go to a wedding? How am I going to go out to dinner? How am I going to go downtown for a night out? How am I going to do it? How am I going to go to a funeral? Who wants to go to a funeral anyways? But how am I going to go there and not drink? Are you kidding me? I'm never going to have fun again. That's lame. And that was my mentality. I mean, that's a lot of our mentality because everything we do in this society, and I shouldn't say that everything we do, but so much of what we do revolves around alcohol. It's promoted. It is normalized. There's a huge normalcy bias and people do it. Families do it. It's passed down from generation to generation. And having fun for so many people means having alcohol present in that situation. And so I like to propose the question, and I'll say, let's say this. Let's say a concert. That's a great one. A concert. Okay. So I like to go to concerts, not as much as I used to back in the day, because I used to like to mosh and get crazy and go to hardcore punk shows and metal shows. I'm a little older now, so I don't do that as often. Or as a matter of fact, though, I am going to see Refused pretty soon. I just remembered that. I don't go often, but occasionally, man, some bands come through town and it's like, dude, I'm going to see them. I've always wanted to see Refused. The Shape of Punk to Come. Iconic band right there, old school. So that should be fun. But when I go to that, when I think about going to that, I do get a little bit of anxiety. I'm like, man, is there going to be a chair there? I want to sit down. I'm 43 now, going on 44. I don't want to stand for 4 hours. I'm not going to mosh for 2 hours and, pray to God I don't get my face smashed in by someone's hardcore dance kick. That's not that, it's a little different now is what I'm saying. And now I totally lost my train of thought. I was on to something there. But that's what I was going to say. The concert. Okay. The concert, bringing it back, Raymond. Let's go. Come on now. You're better than that. You're better than that. Should hear what the crap that goes on in my mind. It's absolutely hilarious sometimes, but okay, let's take a concert, bringing it back. We're going to go see, we'll just say, who are we going to go see? We're going to go see a reggae show. Let's say that. No, we're going to do punk show. We're just going to do Refused. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. We're going to a concert, damn it. That's it. And there's going to be alcohol there. And you can apply this to any situation, a game, a baseball game, a hockey game, a football game, a party, whatever, a wedding. There's going to be alcohol there. Okay. And people get so excited. We're going to this concert. We're going to do this and that and this and that, or this game. We're going to tailgate where the whole people's coming. Our friends, they're meeting us there. It's going to be awesome. Are you excited to go to the game or go to the concert? Or are you excited so you can go drink? That is a very relevant question that I don't think people ask themselves. And I think most people would probably say it's a combination of both. I'm excited to go see this band I've been wanting to see for a while. I'm also excited to tie one on and let loose a little bit. And so when we think about that, we think, I mean, how would I have fun doing that without that? And this myth comes from the idea that alcohol is directly tied to fun, to socializing, to relaxation. And we've seen it in the movies, the media, it's promoted, it's normalized, like I said. And you might worry like, man, well, if I quit, how am I going to enjoy a night out or be able to have fun at the concert or the game? Like without alcohol, it's so scary for a lot of people. And it was so scary for me. So I hope I don't sound like I'm mocking or being a jerk to anybody in this situation. I'm not, because I've been there. I understand what it's like, but I'm also calling it out because it's so true. It's so true. Like, how can I go to a party without alcohol, without drinking, without bringing a case of beer or a bottle of tequila and some food, or maybe no food at all because that'll ruin my buzz? What will I do if I can't have a glass of wine with dinner? How am I going to do that? Here's the thing. Quitting alcohol doesn't mean that you'll never have fun again. It's absolutely not true. In fact, many people, including myself and who I've talked to and had on this show and been in meetings with and groups with and just had conversations around a campfire or at the grocery store, they feel so much more alive, so much more present, so much more engaged. When they stop drinking, they're so much more on point. They're not foggy anymore. They have energy. They have clarity. You get to experience life in the moment more full. You might even find that you have like those connections, those relationships that you have already established, or maybe even new ones that are growing. They're so much more powerful. They're so much more meaningful because you're fully present in the moment. You're not thinking about drinking, or you're not drinking takes us out of the moment. It robs us of our spirit. It robs us of the connection to God. It robs us of the connection to each other. It's a false sense of connection. Those aren't your homies. Those are your drinking buddies. See what happens when you stop. You'll find out who your friends are. That's the truth. Now, I want to point out, you can still go to parties and social gatherings and events and all that stuff without drinking. There's plenty of non-alcoholic drinks available out there. They're all over the place. You might even inspire someone else. Think about their drinking habits as you do it too. And that is powerful in itself. That's a whole nother chapter, a whole nother part of this. You get to lead by example to others and especially to your kids if you have kids. And I'll give you an example of this. We went over to our neighbors last night. Awesome people. And occasionally I do like to have a chew. A Skull or a Grizzly pouch. I'll throw a little pouch in sometimes if I'm mowing the lawn or driving. One of those little things, man, I know I should quit. But it's, occasionally, whatever. And I also occasionally, these things have been the athletic brews, they're non-alcoholic beers. They've been sitting in my fridge for months now. They actually still tasted okay, the one I had. I brought one of those over there because they were having some wine and stuff too. And I brought one with me. We had a great time. We hung out, talked for an hour, 2 hours, laughed. They had a great backyard fire pit there. And we had a great time. And I really enjoyed it. And I didn't have to drink. I didn't have to be intoxicated. There's ways to still do it after and I'll admit this, especially if you've drank for a long time. I'm not going to make it sound like it's just amazing right off the bat. It takes a little bit of time. That's why we coach dudes on how to do this. That's why we have our men's community, the Victory Circle. Like, you need support. You need tools. There's a lot of things that go with this. It's not just a piece of cake. It takes a lot of work, but it can be done. It can be done. And there's many, many opportunities and resources out there to help you do that. So it doesn't have to stop. Fun doesn't have to involve alcohol. It's more about the connection. It's more about the experience, the memories you create, not how many drinks you have. We're past that, man. As we get older too, it just becomes less fun and less relevant. It's like, why? Why do I want to do that and feel like that? All right, myth number 3. You'll always be tempted to drink and you'll never be able to handle it. You'll always be tempted to drink and you will never be able to handle it. This myth suggests that once you quit drinking, you'll constantly be fighting the urge to have a drink. I will say that this is somewhat of a myth, yes, for some people, and some people really do struggle with that. They do have that urge, especially early on. And those urges can pop up even after 10 years. I'll tell you that right now. So this is kind of a half myth, but I wanted to point this one out because it's not true for everybody. For some, maybe. For others, no, it's not. But it is one that comes up a lot. Oh my God, am I ever going to be able to handle it? That's a question that the person has to ask themselves and deal with themselves. For me, I'll tell you my experience and my take on this. I do have those thoughts sometimes, if I'm 100% honest with myself and with you, which I always am. Okay, but I do have those thoughts occasionally. I bet you I could drink a beer. I could be okay. But why? Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to test myself? Giving that up and going down a different path and running towards God and being in a so much better state of my life, than 11 years ago. Like, why would I want to go back to that? Here it is again. I haven't said it in a couple episodes, but I'm going to say it again right now. I've still never heard anybody say my habitual drinking habits have really improved my life. Never heard anybody say it. Did have a few people on X, on the account I posted that, and they said, well, as a matter of fact, I got all my friends at the bar. And back to my comment before, are those your friends or are those your drinking buddies? Because I'd be willing to bet $100. I bet $1. I'll bet 5 cents that they're not your friends. Those are drinking buddies. The majority of them, just the way it goes. So what does that look like for different people? Once you quit drinking, you'll constantly be fighting that urge. And for some, it's true. For some, maybe not so much. It's the idea that quitting alcohol is like you're going to have to white knuckle it all the way through life, always struggling with the temptations. And there's ways to cope. If that is true, which it is for some people, there's so many ways to cope with it, to deal with it, to understand it, to embrace it, to feel it. Hey, you can feel now. Imagine that. When you stop drinking, you get to feel. Because many of us drink because we don't like to feel. So I drank. Hated feeling. I still struggle with it sometimes. Jess wants to watch the Passion of the Christ again with the kids as, Easter's coming up, the Passover. And she said, I want to get, the kids together and we need to watch Passion again. And what an incredible movie, right? And just a really, really tough movie to watch at the same time. And I kind of cringed. I said, And she goes, what? You don't want to watch that? How could you not want to watch that? And I said, there's a lot of feeling involved in that. Because man, it's the story of Jesus and it's brutal. The sheer brutality. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful stuff in there too, but the sheer brutality and the way they depicted that movie. And then you think that how that really happened to him. It's obviously terrible, but dude, there's so much feeling that goes into that. And I don't like to feel sometimes still till this day. And I think that is why I drank for a lot of the time. And I think that is why a lot of people drink. And maybe it's not so much that they don't like to feel, they just don't want to. They don't know how to. But here's the beautiful thing. When you quit and you start to figure out who you are and you learn who you are, you get to feel again. You get to feel again. And then you can choose. You can make relevant choices to your life. And over time, the easier it becomes. Over time, your body and your mind adjust. The cravings, the routines, they lessen. I'm not saying they go away. Like I said, even after 10 years, I can get a craving every now and again. Oh, that'd be nice to, And that's, I have to be honest. I don't try to hide that. I have to be honest with myself, because if I try to hide it and beat myself, you don't think like that, you're sober. I can't do that. It's going to make it worse. I want to talk about it. I want to acknowledge it. It's just passing by. It's a thought. It's a thought. It becomes a problem when it becomes an action, taking that thought and taking action. That's when it's an issue, but it starts with a thought. Everything starts with a thought. So those cravings will lessen. The ways that you want to handle the stress, the social situations, the social anxiety, the emotions, though you'll learn how to deal with those over time. And there might be moments when you feel an urge, just like I said. I mean, most people do, but you'll have much better coping strategies. You'll have some tools. You'll have some community, in a way to deal, in a way to cope, instead of just turning back to alcohol and being stuck in that same cycle, the same miserable cycle. It's a miserable cycle, and there's so many great people who struggle with it. I just want to make that clear. Like, we're all God's people here. And just because people have an issue with any number of things, but we're talking about alcohol here, but it could be shopping or money, so much stuff, relationship stuff. I mean, we all have stuff, right? But specifically with alcohol, man, it just robs people's soul. And there's so many good people who are struggling with it. And I think that's what's so motivating for me to continue to do this work, because hopefully it helps some people out there, but it also helps me too. And it reminds me of where I once was and where I never want to go back to again, because life is so beautiful. There's so much to live for. I don't have to white knuckle it anymore. It doesn't mean I'm not going to have urges here and there, but I know how to talk about them. I know how to acknowledge them. It's okay. It's normal. And it's not about willpower. It's about making a choice that aligns with the lifestyle that I want to lead, the life that I want to lead, the health, my overall well-being. Because if I'm not well, my family's not going to be well. If I'm not leading my family well, who's going to do it? The world? Like, yeah. And it doesn't mean I'm perfect. Definitely not. That's for dang sure. But as we move forward, the confidence goes up. The ability to handle life gets a little easier sometimes, even in those real tough situations. Real tough. And we learn how to deal without alcohol. All right, myth number 4, quitting alcohol is too hard. And you'll never enjoy life again. So just keep drinking. Just keep drinking about it. A lot of people avoid quitting because they believe it's going to be an incredibly hard process that'll strip them of all the fun, all the enjoyment. Who am I? There's an identity crisis there. And I speak from experience on that. I remember coming back from, going for 30 days and getting some help and, therapy and group therapy and, man, all kinds, just trying to get some structure back in my life and understand who I was. And man, it was a lot, and it was hard at that time. My identity was stripped in a sense. I can remember, this first or second day there, I was in like this detox room, but I went to take a shower and I was like, finally hit me where I was. And then I was there and I was in the bathroom with the shower going, and I was just butt ass naked, just curled up in a ball, just crying like a grown baby man, whatever. It was like, oh my God, how did I get here? How did this happen? And literally I'm laughing about it now, but it wasn't that funny then. But I literally felt like my identity was stripped. I didn't know who I was anymore. I had lost it. I was numb. And I was so scared that I was never going to be able to do life once I went back home. But I was also, contrary to that, which is funny, I was so excited to live life again and to be free from those chains. And not just the chains of alcohol, but the chains of the world. And that's been a whole long process. I'm still going through that. That's just the faith and the love of God and the grace and all of what he offers us that I'm still walking through and learning and growing in. And the day that I stop doing that and think I got it all figured out is the day I might as well just exit, because what's the point? But this one's another myth. Quitting alcohol is too hard. You'll never enjoy life again. It's just not true. It's just not true at all. And it can really hold people back from making that change, making that step in the right direction. Um, in reality, the process of quitting, it doesn't have to be as difficult as you actually might think. Now, I'm not saying that it's easy. It's not. It takes work. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes some goals. It takes maybe therapy. It takes maybe some meetings. It takes maybe going to rehab for some people. I mean, everyone's situation is different, but there's going to be challenging moments along the way, no doubt. But the reward at the end, or the reward in the process, and when you see the growth, and when you get that spark back in your spirit and your soul, and you don't feel depressed, or you don't feel just broken down and exhausted. I think that's a really good way to put it. Exhaustion, I hear from a lot of people, and I know I felt that myself. Just exhausted. I just didn't know how to do it anymore. I didn't want to do it anymore. When you quit, you start to feel more energetic. You start to feel healthier. Mentally, you're clear. And here's a big one. You also save money. How about that? Think about the money spent on alcohol. You know, if you just did it by the week, let's just say you spent, I don't know, $50 a week on alcohol, and that's probably pretty conservative, I think. But by the time you eat out once a week and go have a couple of drinks, and then you have alcohol in the house, and maybe you go to a concert that month or whatever. But let's just say $50 a week, that's $200 a month. You know, what's that? $2,400 a year just in alcohol? And that's, like I said, that's a conservative number. That's a lot. It's a lot of money. You could put that in an account somewhere and gain some interest on it, or invest it in something, or just save it, or give it to some people who need. I mean, I don't know. There's all kinds of things you could do with it, right? But the point is there's so many good things that come with it. It's not all doom and gloom. It's not, you're not ever going to not enjoy life again. There's so much opportunity. You meet so many people. Things start opening up in your life that are amazing. It's like, wow. So quitting alcohol and that it's too hard and that you'll never enjoy life, absolutely a huge myth. And I understand how it can feel that way at first, but it's just not true. There's so much opportunity and so much to live for when you step outside of the matrix of alcohol and the drinking community. All right, number 5, last one here. You have to quit completely or you're a failure. And you got to do it the first time. You got to quit and you're done and that's it, or you failed. This is not true. The all or nothing mentality is a big myth. It keeps people stuck. Some people feel that if they don't quit alcohol completely, that they failed, and that idea at first can be intimidating for a lot of people. Now, I will say the caveat to this, everybody's situation is different. For me, I had to quit. I had to quit immediately, and I had to go all in. I'm an all or nothing type of guy. I am. But I'm not going to sit up here. I'm not naive enough or stupid enough to sit up here and think that your situation is just like mine, and I need to, tell exactly this is how I did it, and if you don't do it, you're failed, and that's, it's not going to work. Everyone's situation is different. Are there foundational resources and ways to go about it? Absolutely. 12-step is a great place to start. If you're not interested in 12-step, a couple books that I've read, or one in particular that's a great book, and it's not anti-12-step, but it definitely provides some statistics behind some of the industry. And it's called Seven Ways to Beat Addiction by Stanton Peele, Dr. Stanton Peele, and a very controversial guy. He also wrote, let's see, I think I have it right here. Yeah, 7 Tools to Beat Addiction, Stanton Peele, and then also the Diseasing of America, how we allowed recovery zealots in the treatment industry to convince us we are out of control. 2 very, very interesting books, controversial books for sure. Do I believe everything in them and agree with everything? No. Do I agree and believe everything with 12-step and with, different community? No, I don't, because everyone's on their own timeline. Everyone's experience is going to be different. So you have to do what's best for you, but there's foundational resources that have worked for many, many, many people. And so let's say you quit for 90 days or you quit for 6 months and then you went back out and you drank again. That's pretty common for a lot of people. They quit for a month and then, man, they're back at it. Or they quit for a couple days. I went through that. I went through that yo-yo. And dude, the biggest thing is you just can't give up. You have to keep trying because eventually something will click. And eventually you'll be like, yeah, I think I'm done with this. And you'll start to gain momentum. The momentum helps big time. Quitting alcohol doesn't have to be that all or nothing decision. And some people choose to even just take a break for a while, you know, and that's fine too. You don't have to just completely quit. Maybe you're not ready for that, but it's great to start somewhere. Hey, I'm going to try, 10 days. I'm going to try 30 days. Whether you decide to quit entirely or just cut back, making that choice to improve your relationship with alcohol, being conscious of it, recognizing the advertising that we're bombarded with, the culture that we're bombarded with, the events that have alcohol surrounded. And remember, you can ask yourself that. I think that's a great question to ask yourself if you're still actively drinking and you're questioning some of this stuff. The next time you go to an event, go, do I really want to be here to see this band? Or do I want to be here because I want to drink? Or do I really want to go, downtown to this dinner tonight or this party because I want to see some people and hang out? Or do I want to go to drink? Chances are it's probably a combination, a little bit of both. But think about it from a sober perspective. Would you really want to go? Maybe. And maybe you want to go and you have a greater time because you figured out ways to go without having alcohol be the center focal point. So, and one more thing too to remember, that even if you mess up, it doesn't mean you failed. You're not a failure. Like, this whole thing is a process. Quitting alcohol is a process. Being saved and having a relationship with Jesus and with God is a process. It's all a process. It's not a destination. We never arrive. We're never going to get to the top of the mountain and put the flag on it and be like, oh, I'm done. Yes. Now what? Well, I don't know. I don't ever want to get there. I want to continue to learn. I want to continue to grow. I want to continue to be in this process. That's life. Life is the process. And we're all on different timelines and different phases of life with different things going on. But most of us are doing the best that we can. I'd say all of us. Okay, I don't know. I don't know if all of us are or not. If it's most of us, whatever. But we're all trying to do the best we can. And it's tough some days. And I don't fault anybody. And I 100% get it that sometimes we just want to escape. We just want to have a glass or two or three or a bottle of wine. We just want to have a beer or two or three or a case and a shot. Because, dude, this world is tough and we want to escape and we don't want to feel. And I'm here to tell you, if you replace the alcohol with a relationship with God, that is where it's at. That's where it's at. That spiritual connection. Only God can fulfill us. Alcohol, drugs, sex, money, big houses, cars, fame, fortune, all that stuff, it doesn't fulfill the soul. It might do it temporarily, but at the end of the day, it's never going to fulfill the soul like Jesus will, like God will, like your relationship will, and neither will alcohol. So there it is. Let's recap real quick. 5 common myths about quitting alcohol and why they're holding you back. Myth number 1, you have to hit rock bottom. No, you don't. You can stop now. You don't have to hit rock bottom. Myth number 2, quitting alcohol means you can never have fun again. That is absolutely not true. I have some great times completely sober and it's amazing. Myth number 3, you'll always be tempted to drink and you won't be able to handle it. Myth number 4, quitting alcohol is way too hard and you'll never enjoy life again. You'll be a miserable bastard. Not true. Not true. And myth number 5, you have to completely quit or you're a failure. Now, this is a process. This is a process. Don't give up. God doesn't give up on us. So don't give up on yourself. The 5 myths that might be holding you back. Hope you enjoyed that. Remember that this It doesn't have to require hitting rock bottom. You can still have fun. It's not as hard as you might think. It is hard. It takes a lot of work. You don't need to be perfect at it. And you can always live and change and live a fulfilling life. It's 100% possible. So if you're considering quitting or just cutting back, know that you're not alone. You have the power to create a better life for yourself, especially when you give it up to God and you start to build that relationship. I know that firsthand, and I'm still in process, and I always will be. But here's to a clear, healthier, full of possibilities life, lots of exciting stuff coming around. You can go to thatsoberguy.com for coaching. There's more, or you can also join our free men's sober community there, the Victory Circle, all kinds of resources. Thanks for tuning into That Sober Guy podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to share it with a friend. Leave us a comment on Spotify. Take care. God bless. Keep your blood clean.